Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. I'm Eric Linask, I'm with TMC, and it is my great pleasure to kick off today's live webinar. Now, first and foremost, hopefully you're all seeing today's title screen. We're going to be discussing how to achieve hockey stick growth when it comes to your cybersecurity solutions. I hope, first and foremost, I don't have to explain why we're taking on this topic. If you're not keenly aware of what's happening in terms of cybercrime and cybersecurity all across the globe today, it's safe to assume you've probably been cryogenically frozen for the past several years. But all joking aside, everything about cybersecurity is on the rise. Cybercrime volumes have increased as much as 600% over the past couple of years. The average cost of a data breach is constantly growing, now reaching more than $4 million on average this year. And I've seen statistics claiming that the total global cost of cybercrime is quickly approaching the $10 trillion mark annually. The fact is, for a lot of companies, it's putting them out of business, specifically small businesses, and 60% of them end up having to close down within half a year after an attack. And I could go on and on and on. We could spend the next hour talking about statistics and data about cybersecurity and cybercrime, but I'm hoping that you're all very well versed on those numbers. And really what you're here for is understanding what you can do about it, how you can build a business helping companies protect themselves from cybercrime. If we've learned anything, it's that security is complicated, a lot more complicated than probably most businesses thought even just a few years ago. And the truth is, we also know now that most companies simply don't have the resources to keep up with what is a constantly evolving security landscape in order to keep their networks, their data, their users, and their customers safe. The good news, though, is that in light of all of the statistics around the rise and the growth of cybercrime, businesses are really seeing the risk and are starting to reach out to service providers for help. And it's not just small companies. Businesses of all sizes are seeking help, not necessarily because they want to, but because they know they have to, and they recognize that internally they may not have the resources to create an effective security landscape. They just can't handle it on their own. We really seem to have moved beyond the awareness and education phase to companies now really putting a lot more emphasis on and increasing the cybersecurity portions of their budgets. So that's all great news. So there's a real and a massive opportunity for the service provider community to become increasingly valuable partners to their business customers if they're able to effectively and appropriately integrate security into their portfolios. That said, just like security overall, that is often easier said than done. It's not just about adding another SKU to your product list. There are strategies and there are processes that you need to follow in order to ensure your success as a trusted partner and to drive revenue for your business. And so that you don't cause the kind of friction that so many providers today are seeing because they just haven't done enough of that homework. And it really is causing a lot of them to lose business to competitors or to the vendors themselves. And it just doesn't make sense not to go through these steps and processes if you're going to get into the security space. So I'm really happy to be joined today by Damian Felke and Greg Marin from First Wave, who aren't going to drown you in a sea of statistics or customer testimonials. No, they're going to do exactly what I've just kind of laid out. They're going to explain to you how you actually can make cybersecurity a successful part of your business, go through some of those steps and processes to make sure that you're setting yourself up and your customers up for success. So before I hand today's session over to Damian and Greg, just a couple of really quick program notes. As always, we've left time for Q&A at the end of our session today, and I encourage you to submit your questions to us at any time. We also have a couple of poll questions during today's event. And on behalf of Damien and Greg, I thank you in advance for taking just a few moments to respond to those and help make our event just a little more interactive today. And last but not least, if you have questions or if you would like a copy of today's presentation, details on how you can do that will be provided on a slide towards the end of today's session. So with that, it's my great pleasure to welcome Damien and Greg from First Wave. Gentlemen, the show is yours.
Thanks, Eric. Greg Marin, and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining the webinar today. I'm just going to start by giving a quick snapshot of who First Wave is and what we do. First Wave secures businesses around the globe, and we also monitor and manage infrastructure, devices, and systems for those businesses. First Wave started in Australia before GFC, and our goal as a company was to build a security as a service platform for telcos and service providers. So we succeeded in Asia Pacific through our partnership with Australia's dominant telco, being Telstra. And then we expanded globally over the years through partnerships with the likes of Cisco. And now we work with telcos and service providers around the globe. Using our CyberSecurity software platform, we've been supplying security services like premium email security as a service to all segments and sizes of business via our global cloud platform network. We also provide these security services to all levels of government and sometimes via sovereign instances of our CyberSecurity platforms. First Wave's always been an innovator and will continue to do so. And some of the innovative things that we do are, and Eric touched on that briefly there, so around removing friction from security service delivery. It's not an easy thing to do. It's typically our service provider partners come from a situation where they're delivering disparate, different security applications from very different vendors and very different platforms and clouds, trying to knit that together into a cohesive security end-to-end solution for their enterprise and business customers. Not always easy, and it's something that First Wave's done very successfully with a lot of automation using best-of-class security applications, but delivered from our multi-tenanted cloud platforms, and being able to do security reporting and feedback via a mobile application. Suffice to say, though, that security is a very, very difficult environment to work in, and we try and remove some of that difficulty, at least from the usability side for the customers and for our service provider partners. But at the same time, we're very aware that our security intelligence, our security efficacy needs to be superior because we deliver to, like I said, not just business customers, but enterprises and government who have very high expectations in terms of capabilities, effectiveness, performance of our security services, so they have to meet the most dramatic needs. We do all this through partnerships globally, selected strategic partners in different regions, as you can see. And of course, you know, our partnerships often will put up logos of the larger and more strategic partnerships that we have. But we have also many managed service providers and other service providers who have got niches in certain geographies. I also would like to mention we acquired another company called Opmantech earlier this year, and we've spent the year merging these two companies. So they're also they were initially formed in Australia. Also a fully virtualized software platform that provides network monitoring along the lines of HP OpenView and SolarWinds, and have established an extremely good footprint throughout North America and Latin America, and allow us to leverage a lot of relationships in place. And we are now also working on utilising intellectual property from both the First Wave platform and the Opmantech platform to give us even more capability, more innovation, and more differentiation in terms of what we can do, what we can provide, and the visibility and protection that we can afford to our service provider partners, and of course all of their customers under a white label service delivery arrangement. Having said that, now I'll hand over to Damien Filkey, our Global Head of Marketing for our security products. Thanks, Damien.
Thanks, Greg, and welcome all to this webinar. Morning, evening, night, depends where you are around the world. I've been part of, I guess, the telco world for over 20 years now. I worked with Optus, which is the second largest telco in Australia. I've always been working very hard to try and think about how we do things a little bit differently in the marketplace. I always try and attack problems with either reimagining, re-engaging with my customers and suppliers to understand how we can actually try and get our solutions out there in a way which is effective and also tries to, I guess, create sometimes a wedge for our customers as part of this process. I've done this with Optus, with Telstra, with Miller in America, and with their groups of Fosters in Australia. And even I built my own cloud platform called Threat Matcher many years ago, which helped disties and craft manufacturers in America market and segment products and services to over 6,000 end shops in America with all their customers. So I always try and put my thinking hat on differently every time I approach these things. So today's not about trying to show you or teach you how to suck eggs. It's all about trying to think about ways, give you ideas to do things differently, attack problems in a different way as you go forward. And as we've stated before, and this is the map that we always see and everyone presents it to everyone else. Cybersecurity is a complex and numbing world we live in. I got this stat here, which is only one of few in this presentation, 50,000 cybersecurity firms now worldwide. That is absolutely amazing. How do you differentiate yourselves in this? How do you use vendors? How do you present these products to your end customers? It is so confusing. So everyone's fighting to win your business. And this is what's happening now in the marketplace. 82% of marketers in all these categories, consumer and business, are actively using content marketing to try and target your business customers or end customers. Case in point, I opened my email up today. I think I had about probably 50 emails from vendors, from people trying to get my services onto their platform, onto their solutions, and trying to pay for something. It just clogs you up. It makes you numbing. There's no doubt about that. And you think about how that, I guess, translates into what you see every day. We're bombarded by over 6,000 messages every day in our inbox, where you see things online, on your phones, walking around outside. How do you make a decision? I think it's, they say on average it takes 3.5 seconds to lose someone. Unless they've made a decision by then, you've lost them and they move on to something else very quickly. That's the attention span that we have these days with the way that we use social media, the way we contact each other. This is the way it is in this world. So the result for end customers is, they just sort of tick things as they go along. Don't think too hard about what they really want as part of the process. They're confused about value in the process chain, about what you're trying to provide them in that cybersecurity solution. It's almost like a grudge purchase. It's like, I don't think I need it till I'm hurt, till I've actually been hacked. That's what happens. And most people just don't think about it until they see an issue in their business or even what their friends have heard. I mean, a great example was, and actually normally it's actually a human error issue. I mean, Optus was originally hacked about a month ago. And that was human error. One of the people at Optus, they actually exposed the API of the customer database to the internet. And that's how the hackers got into Optus and all their customer databases, millions of customers out there. And they're not problem aware. They don't know exactly what's going on, what they're seeing, what's it all about. So it comes down to, there's this growth inertia in the marketplace. Everyone's trying to fight. There's no new customers, slow to onboard, low revenue growth. You're just fighting tooth and nail, spending probably too much money to try and get some value out of your existing customers or even new customers. It's just tough to do. Let's have a quick poll.
Absolutely, Damien. Happy to help here. We'd love to hear from you and our audience. What is your biggest issue scaling your cybersecurity offering? The evolving cyber threat landscape, increasingly complex environments, complicated management demands, chronic staffing shortages, or you simply don't have the right tools? You know, Damien, why we let our audience respond to this to the poll question? You know, from everything that I've seen over the past couple of years, any or all of these could present problems for providers. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. We see it all the time. We deal with our partners and their end customers. And, you know, I think the challenge is trying to provide these solutions efficiently and at scale. I mean, how do you scale a cybersecurity business these days with so many tools and solutions available, training staff, getting to understand the solution? It's hard, it's costly, it's time inefficient, no doubt about that.
You know, it's probably fair to say too that several of them sort of piggyback on others. You know, the evolving cyber landscape and increasingly complex network environments or business environments and complicated management demands and the right tools. You know, those in particular, those all four play together. And then when you add in the staffing challenges, then if you don't have automation to help with some of those things, then you know, you pulled all five of those into one massive challenge.
Exactly right. Absolutely right.
Let's take a look and see what our audience is telling us. And it looks like a little over half. It's really the evolving cyber threat landscape, and a little bit of staffing, and some don't have the right tools. Does any of this surprise you?
Not at all. No. We see that all the time, every day. It's exactly what we hear from our customers, our clients, on that. And interesting, the increasing complex environments. It's interesting because that's sort of going away in some ways, and I'll talk more about that in the coming slides as well, and what's happening in that space.
Great.
So let's get down to it. Yeah, thank you. So what do I mean by hockey stick? This is where I'm trying to show you different ways to try and get into cybersecurity into your marketplace. I mean, normally a company has a growth rate of between 10 to 25% per year. That's sort of an average across all categories, all businesses, no doubt about that. And depends what you're in, you might have higher or lower in that space. But what I'm trying to say here is that there's got to be a tipping point. This is something that was quite a clear thing years ago in the marketing world. Is how do you create a tipping point to create a hockey stick effect with your business? So normally you're sitting there with a large number of customers at low revenue, and you're just trying to get on new customers, bit by bit, trying to grow them. But there's got to be some tool, something in place at a tipping point moment to make you get a large number of customers with higher revenue to make that hockey stick effect happen. No doubt about that. So what's a category? What's happening in some companies around the world in this space? There's quite a clear trend, which is, this has been going on for years, and it started with Atlassian back in 2002 in Australia, is what they call as a product-led growth category of companies that are out there. And you guys would know all these companies. Atlassian, you use them probably, Zoom, you know, DocuSign, Monday, all these, Squarespace, all these companies that targeting anything from small business up to large enterprise with what they call product-led growth characteristics of companies. And they've taught, I think, the marketing world in cybersecurity more things about how to get scale than we've ever seen before in the way we try to take products to market. So think about this. So how have things gone over the last 20 years in selling solutions in this space? There was the on-premise era. We sold to CIOs, you had standalone systems installed in a fixed location with what was called a perpetual license. Then over the last 10 years, moved to what's called the cloud era, where we sold to executives and managers with end-to-end platforms with basic integrations, available as a destination on a desktop or in the browser, with seat-based subscriptions. Sort of, I guess, the SaaS model as part of that. But what these companies have done is they've grabbed this new connected world, where everyone's either working from home or utilizing devices off the network to try and do their business. And what they found is they distribute their solutions to the end users, not to the buyers. They sort of discover and champion end users to promote their products within ecosystems, which then almost force the buyers to take those solutions on board for their businesses. And these come through from, I guess, open API-based products that play well in all sorts of ecosystems, which is what this whole world is about in this cloud world. Sort of embedded in the existing context. So you're actually using it ongoing on your applications where you work, no matter where you are. It just becomes part of your daily life, is doing things. And also they sort of have a usage-based model, and where they normally start their customers for free and pay after they've seen value as part of that. So what I've done is we've grabbed the 10 key strategies that these guys employ to get products and to get scale. Then I thought about how do I apply those to the cybersecurity world going forward. So what have they done? They've actually started to look at using PLG strategies in the sales organizations to try and grow their business. First one, self-serve distribution vehicles. This is where literally you go online and you literally it's frictionless onboarding process to get a solution into your hands. They make it as easy as possible as part of the process. No demos, no big, sales presentations. It literally is I go online, I join up, I'm embedded, I'm working on the solution straight away. Secondly, they create an instant eureka moment. This is what customers are after. Things like you can get on there and you get free trials. You get a one-step sign-up process. You don't need to provide your credit card information to get going on the service at all. They're trying to find a way to get you to actually do something on that solution very quickly and very easily. Then they're trying to create value instead of extracting value from customers. They're trying to show you value as part of the process. And open core is what they use. No, the open source, a lot of the stuff comes from. Would you believe that cybersecurity actually came from open source? That's where it all started. We've gone down all different models going forward, and much more complex models of selling. You've got the freemium models. That's where you get products for free until you actually pay more for extra features. And also limited time-free trials as part of that process. So you're getting them into the solution, you're getting them on board, you get them using the solution to become evangelists of the product set. And they just don't leave as part of that. And then also they're focusing on the end user. That is who they're focusing on. So they're not going to the CIO, not trying to target into the head of IT or anything like that. They're literally targeting end users through these nurturing programs, online, when you visit them straight away, to get them to use your solution very quickly, very easily. I do this all the time. You probably guys do it as well. Literally, you have a problem. You have a problem going, I need to, simple thing, I need to cut my PDF into two. What do? I haven't got a certain solution I want to pay for. I go online, search for it, and suddenly I've got a tool I can use for free to get my PDF to cut in half. But then if I want to actually do more things with it, I've got to pay for it. That's literally the concept they're doing. They try and solve a little problem that's out there and get them to use it and get them on the solution. And that's what they call they call this the establishing a clear initial entry wedge, right? Trying to find that unique proposition, trying to find that one pain point that goes across a lot of masses and get that going, and trying to find that one way to get them into the solution very quickly. And then, of course, they use what is called use network effects. So what they do is once they've got end users on board, they then start to use them across the years to build more value out of them, add more services to them, but also because the end users networks tend to talk to each other, they tend to converse online about things, everyone starts to use that networking effect to create scale, to create that sort of hockey stick effect that works well for them to build their business. And that's literally, it's literally done for free for them by their own end users as part of that process. And they're now also employing a transparent pricing model. So literally, you know what you're using. You pay out. You don't have to pay up front, but you actually know. If I use certain tools, I'm paying for this. See what you're paying per month. It's set in stone. Unless you're a big enterprise, you might get some discounts, but overall, you're on there. You're using it. You know exactly what the pricing construct is as you go along. Number 8. Then they put this into what they call straightforward packaging based with intuitive gates packages going forward. Example of this: they start you on free, give you a starter pack, give you more of a professional tool, teams and companies. They really do try and show ways to scale businesses into their solution, or even get large enterprises involved in the solution upfront very quickly as part of the process. And more we're seeing our vendors that we deal with in the marketplace doing this themselves. So rather than just selling through our service providers to get things going, they're going direct to customers, get them on board, and we lose that customer. They're trapped now in their ecosystem as they go forward. Now, also too, they embed, I guess, all the customer success levers online digitally as part of the process. You don't need to call someone to talk to anyone. All help, all guidance, Everything's online to help you get through the solution, to answer questions, etc. So I've taken away this human contact, which in some ways I miss, and a lot of people do miss. But if it's easy to use and it's got all your answers there, it's literally what makes it easy for a solution to scale as part of that process. And I guess number 10, you try and infuse this philosophy across the whole organization. It requires coherence of this sort of thinking across all facets of the business. You need everyone in the organization to become part of this deepened product usage and engagement over time. Your sales guys are literally evangelists of the product, but with a quota. That's how they sort of work with this. The compensation structure is also aligned to their PLG strategy. And reps are rewarded with longer view to the ultimate value of the account, which is interesting. So there you have it. You have got 10 strategies that what they call PLG companies are using to create this hockey stick effect. Now, not every SP can do this. Not every company's got the tools in trade to do something like this, but you've got to think about, and just sit out there and think about, what could I use? What can I get into to try and allow me to do these sort of activities to try and scale my customer base, or to get better value out of my customers going forward. So what this is showing is that the trends are that software, which is what these guys have been pushing now for the last 10 years, has become core infrastructure. A lot of companies, mid-sized companies, all they use is software. They don't use anything else as part of that. Work happens everywhere. That is a huge trend, which everyone knows about. COVID, of course, did much more to increase that digitalization much quicker with companies. But that's something we've got to think about going forward in terms of trying to attach that trend. But also the engagement with software sets the tone. Buyers follow users as part of this process. That's the trend. So, the more you get users utilizing your solution at the end users, the more your customers might buy more solutions as part of the process. So really, what do you need to deliver? You need to solve a pain point nearly universal among your customers. If the pain points are all over the place, you won't get the scale. You need to look at that one wedge opportunity, try and build scale, and to make it work for you. You've got to start somewhere simply. You need to deliver value to customers without any friction, make it easy as possible. As consumers, we're used to this. We're used to frictionless services on our phones, all the time, whoever we deal with. It's the way it is these days. Why can't we have that with the B2B space going forward? And also too, you've got to provide the ability to rapidly grow inside an account after initial adoption. So once a person got users in there, how do you then explode and make them work on more of your solutions, add more solutions to your product set, and pay more for what they're doing with you? Let's go to the second poll.
Hey, Damien. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say we've got a couple of questions here before we slip to the poll. One question is, how do you establish trust to allow download of the free solution?
That's always a very good question. And I think you have a lot of trust signals involved in the process. So when you go and visit the website, you'll find that there are a lot of trust signals you put on the website, whether it's content from other end users, whether it's case studies, whether it's use cases, whether it's even third-party vendor, analysis of your solution. So, but also then, you as a company, what do you do as a company to create trust? I think a very good example of this would be, say, Telstra, who are a huge company in Australia, and they provide a lot of services embedded, which are all security. So you're part of that process. No doubt about that. So you actually get that trust straight away.
Thanks for that. And the other question, which I'll take here, is what percentage of your technology partners are selling cyber solutions? Mm-hmm. So we have really two different types of partnerships at First Wave. We partner with some vendors so that we can utilize their security applications and deliver those complex security applications as an easy to use security as a service for partners and customers, the likes of Cisco, Palo Alto, etc. So very well known vendors, global vendors of premium technology solutions, and Palo Alto is obviously a security vendor through and through, and Cisco has an incredibly comprehensive security portfolio end to end. but obviously the other type of partnership is with our service provider and telco partners. So that and the answer to that question is that we form partnerships sometimes with service provider partners that are only just building a cyber security portfolio for the first time and looking for the most effective way to do that, the quickest way to get something to market with the lowest in investment, but with still a high level of quality. So that type of service provider, it's typically someone like an IT services provider or a communications service provider that might already have a good reputation. So they want something of quality that complements their current offering. So that's a great partnership for us. We have other technology partners in the form of service providers, though, that have been in cybersecurity for a long time and may focus exclusively on cybersecurity, but they've come from an environment where, as we mentioned all the factors before, they're finding it difficult to hang on to staff. It's expensive to keep training staff on a portfolio of disparate solutions. So they're looking for something that's more cohesive, something that's actually fairly uniform and automated to provision the services for customers, basically take some of the cost and time out of the exercise and have some of this be able to be driven by less skilled staff rather than those with very long IT credentials. So I hope that answers the question. Thanks, Damien. And I think we're about to have another poll.
Yep.
Absolutely. Let's get to that second poll. Damien, you've talked a lot about how to sell, how to launch a cybersecurity business. What we want to hear from our audience now, from you folks in our audience, is really when you're looking at your customers, what's stopping them from buying more cybersecurity? What's stopping them from making even greater investments in security? Is it they lack budget, or they have built-in security in their existing office tools? They just don't know what is needed to be secure or where to start, or they don't see the value in cybersecurity. Damien, just a couple of years ago, the easy answer would have been they just don't see the value in cybersecurity. But I think we've really moved well beyond that sort of awareness and education phase where business leadership really know that cybersecurity, the need for cybersecurity solutions is very real. And they are, and we know we've all seen the data that they are budgeting for it. So I would tend to think that really number 3 is going to be a big response option, and probably a little bit, just don't know how good those built-in security tools are, and if they need other security solutions or what other security solutions they need to supplement those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree on that. The point 3 is so right. We know you need to be secure. I mean, everyone hears about hacks every single day, but no one does anything about it. They're almost like frozen in time trying to do something. But the issue is they're getting inundated with thousands of solutions that are saying, buy this for this little pain point, do this, do that. And they're confused about, how do I provide a holistic approach to my security of my business? What sort of the basic things I need to do to get started? It's just fraught with probably buying the wrong tool for the wrong issue in your business. No doubt about that. Budget's also a thing I always hear about too. You hear about it as well. Budget cybersecurity. We've got M365, and that's good enough email security, but research shows us that it's not good enough security, but I think it's good enough. Let's get up to enterprise size. It's and it comes down to proof now too. You need to show the value. You need to be able to show them that what's getting through into their systems, and give them tools to understand that. They don't just want to see another webinar. They just want to see another case study or another white paper. They actually want to see the solution in action, and make that easy for them, which is what the PLGs do. They get the solution in your hand and you use it. You want people to use the solution to see the value. No doubt about that.
So if you look at our attendees, overwhelmingly, it's option 3. Customers just don't know what they need in order to be secure or where to start.
Yep. Okay. So let's think about 5 go-to-market strategies to try and capture what you've heard, those 10 trends, the things they do, the PLG companies are doing to scale their businesses. How do we create a tipping point? How do we get customers on board first of all, then create that tipping point to create scale as we go along? I'll give you 5 thoughts. First of all, this is a concept which came in about 7 years ago called split scaling, which is what these guys use. You need to have a combination of new technology, effective distribution to potential customers, and a scalable high margin revenue model allows massive growth. And if you've got that in place, you will be sitting at that lower end of that spectrum ongoing and have that 10 to 15% growth rate ongoing. Unless you got those things in place, you can't blitz scale to try and get to that tipping point to create huge scale and revenue opportunities for your business. Point 2, move from add-on to integration. I've been in the telco world for 30 years. I remember every time we went to market, when I was working on Optus, we were trying to think of ways to integrate the new technology into existing package or solution to our customers. Classic point, when we first sold mobile phones, then we tried to add data as an add-on to all the mobile phone solutions. No one bought data. They had no idea the value of data in those days. Now you know all of it because you're trying to watch movies and things all the time, but right then, no idea. So we form packages to try and make them to use that solution and to add those things in there. So the old days was service plus security, and I still see everyone out there doing this. Everyone's just trying to create a cybersecurity practice separately to what they're doing, and they just sit there and they're not selling anything at scale. They send a solution here, sell something there. They've sold a firewall, they've sold a bit of this, a bit of that, but not create any scale with their customers. So what the trend I've seen is providing a secure service. And this is what people do outside the cybersecurity world. Think about cars. Think outside that world that we're in. A car is providing security to you, but it's just there. It's a secure service. They've got brakes, they've got airbags, they've got things that are actually involved in the cost of the solution that's already there and are used to it. We're trained as people now to expect to have security in things we do. Insurance, houses have locks on. It's all inbuilt as part of the process. So why shouldn't that be part of our solutions to our customers? So example here, Telstra Broadband Protect. They provide broadband protection to all their ISP customers inbuilt into the solution. It's not an add-on. They've had that for years as part of that. And they've been very good at doing that across all their product sets. They provide spam and SMS blocking, all those things for free for their customers as part of the service to show the value of cybersecurity on their network. iiNet, which is an ISP in Australia similar to someone's in America, they've got internet, they've got iron port systems embedded in their solution already. That's part of the service. You're not paying more for that. It's part of that, and they try and see things on top of that. TELUS Canada, they're adding in smart home security technology as part of their solutions, as part of their one packages going to their customers. Bell Canada, also adding like protection to your mobile phone plans, handsets as well, included in there as part of that, no extra cost. So just showing you this whole trend that you need to be able to get this one way into your customers with security solutions to show as part of the process. It allows you to add more value as part of that. Number 3, start with one simple, compelling offer. Don't go out there with 3 solutions trying to sell everything to see what's going to stick as part of the process. Start with one offer. Example is this example we talk to our customers about. Start with one product that secures your customers where 91% of the cyber attacks occur. It's email. One thing, try and find that one thing to try and add value as part of that. Then you take them on the journey, a cybersecurity journey to scale their business, get them on, show them value, then they'll start doing more things with you. They form that trust with you as a company. You're trying to find that cybersecurity gap and exploit it rapidly and then expand your service offering. Simple as that. And that's like anything. I mean, anything in your life, everyone's trying to sell your products all over the place. You've got to find that one pain point, stick at it hard, get them onto the solution and move forward and add more to it. Point 4, you've got to employ a scalable delivery vehicle. This is done once again outside our world. This is a classic example of, not online, it's actually a supermarket, Kroger, Albertsons, those big companies. They've gone from going down the aisle buying some cereal packaged goods to everything. They've expanded range on a platform, which is a supermarket. You walk in there, They try to get you out the door in half an hour, an hour's time, with double the amount of value they had as you did, let's say, 10 years ago. Delis, cheese buffets, take-home meals, everything's in there for your whole life of trying to buy products. That's a platform. What about the iPhone? When it first came out back in 2007, it wasn't a phone. It was actually a platform to deliver internet, communications, and entertainment. The platform delivered a lot of value across one platform. Netflix, example, streaming services. That's a scalable vehicle, no doubt about that. And cars, Tesla. I mean, cars are scalable vehicles. They're scalable. They're doing more now. Try and make it easy to sell you more. What's BMW doing with their cars? You pay for the car, then they offer you packages to have heated seats in your cars, more money to do things. So they're trying to turn things on in the cars that you have to pay more for as part of the process. But all these things they're vehicles, they're platforms to use. So we have the same thing. We have what's called cybersecurity. It is a platform. It sits out there in the private public space on AWS. So we call it an open security management platform. We've got on there email, advanced ADR, web, there's firewalls, etc. But we have a multi-tenant solution that virtualizes these technologies to our end customers. That is a platform. That is another way to get your solutions to your customers quickly, efficiently, and at scale. As part of that, we actually attach on, enterprise-grade perimeter security solutions onto our platform. People from Cisco, Palo Alto, those sort of high-class, high-quality vendors to our end customers, which allows you to then segment and do your own packaging, your own things. And we find that our solutions tend to be sold under the brand, white-labeled, Telstra. It's all Telstra stuff. VI in India, it's VI. It's not us. They're trying to build their brand as a secure brand to their customers to create more trust as well. And our platform allows you to do that. And then you can scale across everyone, end users, governments, enterprise, SMEs, SMBs, the whole way. It's built to that structure. Our platform was actually built inside Telstra, and we brought it out of there. It was actually built as part of the infrastructure, as part of that, and still is. We've now made it available to all sorts of providers around the world as a cloud solution. So it's telco grade, and we call it carrier grade in many ways. But most vendors that you deal with have come from the consumer world and gone the other direction to try into there. Example of this, Telstra. I keep talking about it, but it's one of our biggest customers. I want to work with closely. They've gone on what's called the T23 and T25 strategy over the last 4 years to try and build a digital business, becoming a telco to a techco company. So at their core, they're trying to deliver solutions that are simpler, more flexible, and beautifully digital. That's what they're trying to do. And so the way we worked with them was we started with email security. We started on the platform with email security, and we worked with their customers to add things. We added web, we added firewalls. Then we got them platforms in the federal government as part of the process to expand their target and their markets. Then we helped them bundle things, email, web, ADR into one solution for small businesses as part of the process. And what it's done for Telstra, more customers, more products, rapid scaling and revenue over the years, more and more. Now they've got this platform that allows them to do that as part of the process. And we actually did some analysis on the platform too, just overseas, a partner overseas, in terms of what's the value that a platform like this provides you as a service provider. And we looked at a 5-year horizon. We talked about, if we conditioned and got on certain customers onto the platform, and then added more services as part of the process. We tried to show you that installation efforts, would be controlled and would be more efficient as part of the process. We looked at the FTE efficiency, the full-time staff equivalents, the cost of that, what it actually does to you as a business and takes away that price. The churn reduction, this is a classic thing in the telco world, the ARPU. The more products you have with one customer, the more likely you're not likely to leave that customer. No doubt about that, because you're sort of embedded with them as part of the process. And then I guess the margin too, more margin per customer with more solutions that are more effective on that. And you can sort of see with that top blue line, just the value that a platform like that can provide you with as a service provider going forward. Tipping point 5, I come back to the blitzscale concept. This is something which has always fascinated me with the way these guys in the PLG world do this sort of stuff. And I've always spoke to a lot of SPs about what you need to do is get them on the platform. Get them onto something they can experience your solution very quickly from day zero. And that's always been an issue with cybersecurity is, you sell them to a person one at a time, get them onto there, and you're trying to scale. It's very hard. If you were to onboard onto your platform, say 500,000 customers straight away, then provide an opt-in, opt-out solution model on there, allows them to actually have their solution in their hands straight away. And then what you do is you know, for example, an M365 bundle with email security, you know, and you show the value in the palm of their hands on their mobile phone, what's happening with that. They can see it straight away. Like what you do. I go online all the time on my handset. I get my, you know, I get my Origin Energy access, and they can show me the value of my, you know, my power usage. Everyone's doing it these days. Using it as a tool which everyone's used to for monitoring and doing things as part of the process. Then you add more up, you add more solutions on there, you start to build out that, and they see the value in their hands as they go along. So it's trying to blitz scale, you got to start big. You can't just like, let's put on 5 customers and trying to move them along the scale, get them all on there, and then you start to apply these PLG processes to go forward. So what have we learned today? Cybersecurity is a complex market and it's hard to scale efficiently. PLG provided 10 sort of strategies they use to show, I guess, a path to solve this problem. But the catch is, how do you integrate those sort of ideas into a go-to-market program? It can only be achieved with a successful integration of a platform concept into what you're providing to try and provide that. And then I showed you 5 examples, ideas, concepts of how to execute something like that to scale your business. It's a complex world, but it doesn't need to be. You need to find ways to make it easy to get the customers on board, and then go through a special sales marketing program to try and build that scale very, very effectively on that. And we find it, I mean, we work every day with service providers, we work with end customers, trying to work with them to give them that sort of scale and get them that. Sometimes it's not easy, you know, they've got the inbuilt process in place, but you need to try and extract that from them. But also I find too that a lot of the customers have never ever sold cybersecurity. They're IT vendors who providing the phones, they provide internet services, they provide, you know, fixed line, etc., whatever it could be, ISP, but they've never actually tried to provide cybersecurity. And too often they just try and add on another cybersecurity product into the set of solutions going forward. You need innovative ways. You need to think laterally about how you involve that and try to make that work for you as a customer and build that scale as part of the process. Hope this presentation's given you some food for thought, given you some ideas to start thinking differently about the way you approach cybersecurity, and hopefully we can help you do that as well as part of the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Damien, and everybody, you can see my contact details there, and welcome any further discussion that you would like to have about engaging with this. There's considerably more to it here in terms of how we position different service providers and partner with different service providers to add value, and it's important that it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all. You've got your own customer base, and it's different from other service providers. So the way that we would engage and plan our go-to-market strategy will vary. So welcome any and all further discussion on that.
So we do have time for a few more questions. So to everybody in our audience, if you have questions that you haven't submitted yet, now's the time to do that. We will get to as many of those as we can in the time we have left. You know, Damien, you laid out a fairly comprehensive strategy or formula for success for service providers getting into cybersecurity. And I know we said at the outset we weren't going to turn this into a testimonial session and such, but to what extent can you quantify that this is actually a proven formula?
Yeah, I guess the proven formula, we've seen it with customers like Telstra, for example. That's something which we've seen work from ground zero. With other service providers too, who are, I guess, mid to smaller size SPs out there, who would have, and they utilize our email solution embedded in their, I guess, managed service to their customers. So it's not a different service they add more for, it's actually part of the process. So a lot of customers, their end customers, they trust their SP or their IT provider to provide them with the solutions that meet their needs, right? The best solutions that should meet their needs. They don't want their IT providers to go out there and pitch them 7 different email security solutions or whatever to try and choose from. They say, trust me, I'm going to provide you with the best solution that I know they can work for you and build that into their structure. And we have a variety of clients who do this, and they start with one product. They start with one thing to get them going, and then they move up. And we've just watched them, I guess, onboard customers ongoing. As they've done that, we did like mass onboarding of all their customers into one solution. Then that's keep adding them onto the process. So yeah, we've seen that, and that's large, small. You know, we work inside the Fed government with Telstra, and the same thing. They use the platform to onboard, you know, a lot of different departments as part of the process in scale, and to make that work for them.
Thanks, Damien. You know, you mentioned that that you're hosted in AWS. If you've got some partners who would prefer to, you know, who are using Azure or want to do something on premises, do you give them alternatives?
Do we go to that, Greg? Your space?
Yeah, sure, we do. Yep, and certainly we do. We have service provider partners, particularly that might have a lot of their own infrastructure available for running these types of platforms and having more control. Having the service embedded on their network is a very important one for delivering certain security solutions, particularly for some of our partners that might be doing this at an extremely large scale, or have got particular security compliance requirements for having a dedicated platform. Because whilst we can deliver platforms in AWS and other public clouds environments, they are multi-tenanted. All customer data is separated and secured and encrypted, so that it's a highly secure offering. But yeah, there's certainly different use cases here that we address, and we do that. We do that constantly.
Thanks, Greg. Here's another one from one of our attendees. When you're onboarding new service provider partners, what's the typical learning curve look like?
Oh, it's you, Greg. It's your.
Yeah, it's sure. Yeah, it's relatively straightforward. I think one of the things that we didn't touch on, because we didn't go deep onto the actual platform architecture and the platform features and capabilities. One thing that we do is we abstract a lot of the complexity that sits in, you know, if you're configuring a firewall or a router or a web security appliance or email security appliance. The interfaces are very complex, and typically you need to do a training course as an admin for one of those. We abstract away all of that complexity and put it in a really easy to use portal. So it's one interface for all different security applications that we provide, and therefore it means that we can train our service provider administrators who administer this on behalf of customers, or customers might even administer themselves. But it's a brief 1 to 2 hour training session, and by that time you basically can master the entire the solution from a management configuration perspective. So it's been very well thought out and developed over many years to make sure that it's got that usability factor. Now, I don't want to underplay it though. It still allows us to configure and deliver every complex security feature that a customer might want, but it's all, like I say, in one easy to use portal.
Thanks, Greg. Damien, you mentioned white labeling a little while ago during the session. Are you a pure white label solution, or do you also have a competing branded solution? I've certainly seen plenty of vendors out there who white label, but also have a competing solution.
Yeah, we can do both. I mean, we like white labeling because that helps support the brand of the people we're dealing with. You know, so a lot of our biggest customers, they want white label. They want to be under their brand to create that trust. You know, create that cybersecurity trust in their brand as part of the process. But we people can deliver cybersecurity as a brand to their customers too if they want to. It's up to them, you know. So we provide both options going forward for a customer.
How do you avoid competing directly with your partners?
Well, sorry. What I mean is the partners can use their brand or our brand. If that makes sense. So we're not going direct to customers. They can use the brand Cybersecurity, for example, in the marketplace, or they can use their own brand as part of that. So it depends how they use it. A lot of people just I guess incorporate that as part of their bundles in there. We don't actively go out there and promote cybersecurity security solutions out there at all. But it just comes down to some SPs want that. They want to have they don't want to brand it themselves. They want something to sell.
Understood. Thank you. That's what I was getting at there.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, in one of your later examples, you talked about email security being a logical entry point for new cybersecurity service providers. Is that your typical entry point, or does it vary by service provider?
Normally, yes. Email is the one that goes in quickly. Web sometimes depends on the SP. You know, depends on the security provider what they're after to help complement their solutions. Because no, email is you know, I guess it's a commodity in many ways. It's out there everywhere. So you got to show value as part of that process. But because it's an easy thing to integrate into a solution and then show value, it's something easy to use. Other things like firewalls or those sort of solutions are harder to implement and a lot harder to get into people's hands as part of the process. Web's easier, but we find email is an easy get, I guess, into that space.
Thanks, Damien. What about how do you handle partners who have a large number of customers they need to upload to the platform quickly or all at once?
Greg? Yeah.
Yes, look, that's relatively straightforward. You know, with our operations team are very experienced at delivering solutions on scale, and we do have some very large migrations that we've done with hundreds and hundreds of customers all coming across, and we run 7x24 operations and support around the globe. So that will be done as a very collaborative effort between our operations team and the service provider. If it's something like, let's just say you've got a lot of Microsoft 365 customers that may be using various email security add-ons from Microsoft, that'd be a classic one where we'd migrate a whole lot of customers on to our platform at once. It's transparent to the customer. It's automated even from the partner's perspective, and it's all scripted. But our operations and development team do that. They set it all up, get it ready to go, and at an agreed time, that would all be provisioned and enabled.
I guess you say it's through APIs, Greg. That's what the process is normally.
Yeah, correct. Through all the Microsoft APIs. Yep. Transparent though to the customers. No impact.
What's the typical, you know, what does your typical partner look like in terms of their customers? You know, is the platform better suited for larger enterprise customers or the SMB space, or doesn't it matter?
I think it's fair to say that this is built from security efficacy and scalability perspective for enterprise and government. But because we have got many telco relationships, telcos tend to deliver data services to all size customers, and we identified that as an opportunity that where we could use exactly the same enterprise capabilities but deliver it into a small or medium business. So it's an extremely good value at that lower end of the business spectrum in terms of size customers. So you know, I'd argue that it's probably even more attractive to them because they couldn't normally afford to build that themselves.
No, so a good example, Greg, of that was when we were actually white labeled into Cisco. So Cisco couldn't get under 100 seats with their solutions in email, etc. So they found this platform, given the ability to target that segment they couldn't get into at scale.
Very true.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. That brings us around to the top of the hour, which is all the time that we have for our session today. If you and our audience have additional questions, contact information, you've got Greg's contact information on the screen in front of you. If you don't have a chance to jot that down, you will all be getting follow-up emails that include contact information as well as details on accessing the on-demand version of today's webinar. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Greg or the First Wave team. I want to thank everybody in our audience for taking time out of your busy days to join us today. And a huge thank you to Greg and Damien from First Wave for sharing some what I think should be very useful information for our service provider community out there. Thank you, gentlemen, and I wish everybody a fantastic either end or beginning to their days.
Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Rob.